Russia conducted large-scale nuclear drills in a show of readiness for potential retaliatory actions amid ongoing geopolitical tensions. Our next story explains a secretive Soviet-era system which would launch nuclear missiles if the country is attacked.
In a calculated show of force, Russia's strategic nuclear triad springs into action across its vast territory. The Plesetsk launch facility thunders as a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile arcs towards the Kamchatka Peninsula. Beneath the churning waters of the Barents and Okhotsk seas, the nuclear submarines Novomoskovsk and Knyaz Oleg unleash their deadly payloads in coordinated strikes. Meanwhile, Tu-95 strategic bombers pierce the skies, demonstrating their capability to deliver nuclear-tipped cruise missiles to target worldwide. Putin emphasizes with new missiles designed for quicker launch times, greater precision and enhanced capacity to penetrate missile defenses.
Taking into account the growing geopolitical tension, appearance of new external threats and risks, it is important to have modern and constantly ready-to-use strategic forces.
Apart from these weapons, Russia has something called a fail-safe device called Dead Hand, which will be activated and designed for doomsday scenarios. Developed in the Cold War era, Dead Hand ensures that in the event of a catastrophic attack, Russia can retaliate even if its top leadership and command infrastructure are obliterated. Here's how it works. If Dead Hand detects a nuclear impact on Russian soil and fails to receive verification from the central command, it interprets this silence as a signal of incapacitation. After a programmed waiting period, it initiates a counter-strike by launching missiles from underground deep silos, initiating a full-scale nuclear response towards its adversaries in the Western world. This automated deterrent underscores the grim calculus behind nuclear warfare, ensuring that any preemptive strike against Russia would lead to mutual destruction. While Dead Hand has not been confirmed to be active, it's a chilling reminder of the Cold War paranoia lingering into modern geopolitics. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis is a military expert and the host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Colonel Davis is joining us live from Starling, Virginia. Colonel Davis, good to see you and welcome. How does Russia manage to hide such weapons, some even as old as the Soviet era, for so long and use them as they wish or when they feel threatened? And I put threatened in quotes.
Honestly,
Sorry.
Of course, that's all in the eye of the beholder, and that's the same with every state, and that's part of the calculus of deterrence is to how different states may respond to different stimulus. And I think that we've gone way too far from the Western side in downplaying the risk of that, because look, Russia is very paranoid, and their a lot of their actions are based on fear, because they have been invaded from the West in the last 2 centuries, and so it's an ever-present threat. So from their perspective, when they see NATO coming up to their front, they are afraid that there's going to be another one in the 21st century. And when you have the world's largest nuclear stockpile, we are not being very smart if we think that they wouldn't ever use them. And look, we've had comments, just not in the recent weeks and months, from many of the United States who say that Russia would never use any nuclear weapons because they know that we would fire them back in response. But as you just alluded to here, there are provisions on the Russian side for that would be devastating and totally destructing on our side as well. So I think everyone would be well served to start really escalating again the risk and the devastation that would happen if anyone uses nuclear weapons.
Colonel Davis, this is what President Putin is saying, taking into account the growing geopolitical tensions, appearance of new external threats and risks. It is important to have modern and constantly ready-to-use strategic forces. What do you make of his statement?
Well, I think it's literally, and Russia's famous for tit for tat. That's very similar to what we just said, like a month ago, I think, when we announced that we're upgrading our nuclear inventory, we're going to modernize our nuclear forces, we're even modernizing our doctrine to be able to fight and win 3 nuclear wars at the same time. That's what we're saying here. So I think this is just Russia responding to what we have said, and that really underscores my real concern that both sides seem to be taking the threats of nuclear war too low and thinking that somehow they can be won. And I assure you, nobody will win if a nuclear weapon is used, and everyone could be destroyed.
Colonel Davis, finally, what do you make of, or what's the impact of the Cold War paranoia that is now lingering amidst modern-day geopolitics, especially in Europe?
Well, listen, a lot of it's not paranoia. It's valid fear and very valid concern. And when, you have the possibility, I mean, the whole reason nuclear weapons are supposed to exist is so that they don't have to be used, that it will, especially of the great powers, that it will ensure that no one gets invaded by any other nuclear power, because everyone knows that if you use nuclear weapons or invade someone, they have a trump card to play. And so I think that's every nuclear weapon state has that same thing. So I honestly don't think it's paranoia. I think it's valid concern.
All right, I've been talking to retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis. He's a military expert and the host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Colonel Davis, thank you for talking to us today.
Thanks for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.